The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production.
In our leaping around in time way that we have to think about when we record these podcasts, you do have a story from, is it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or Boxing Day?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve.
I always know Christmas Eve because Christmas Eve is also the day my sister and my father celebrate their birthdays, both on Christmas Eve.
What? That was bad timing.
I know. I actually know 5 people, like including my sister and my dad, and 3 other people who are reasonably close to me, whose birthdays are on Christmas Eve.
Oh.
Can you believe it?
Do they get double presents?
Oh, well, no, it's a very, very, very sensitive subject, isn't it? Some people, will be like, oh yeah, just give me a bigger present. Other people were like, no, do not ever wrap my birthday present in Christmas paper.
No,
Christmas Eve.
Absolutely not. No.
Anyway. But no, so Christmas Eve in our household was going swimmingly. It was nice. We had a nice day planned. We went to the ponies, went out for a hack.
Yeah.
Nice little walk along the Fossway, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We had a couple of hours back home. We were going to get changed, get showered, all of that, and then we were heading over to Disco Dave's house for afternoon drinks.
Disco Dave.
And then we were going to go to Mass at 5:30.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve Mass at 5:30. Anyway, got home from the ponies. Terrible smell in the back garden. What's that? And Gemma took one look at the drain and went, drain's overflowing. And it was proper overflowing.
What time was this?
This was about 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, no, there's no plumbers going to come out that time.
No plumbers. No. So we took up the manhole.
Oh, you did it yourself.
Yeah, we did that. I've been through this process before. We got the manhole up, and there's nothing coming through the manhole. The drain under the patio was clean as a whistle, but everything was piling up through the overflow.
Sorry if you're eating your breakfast, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. So first thing we did was like stick our hands up, puddles kind of stuff.
No.
Yeah, and then that wasn't working, so we sent Albie and Rosa to E&S Shops, which is a local hardware shop, to get some very high density drain clearage. So they wouldn't give it to them.
I was going to say, you sent your kids to go and get chemical warfare.
Because I had my hands full of
Thank you.
So anyway, they wouldn't sell them because they were under 18. So I then had to go and get that. Yeah. Walking in through Malmesbury High Street, covered in really moody and annoyed now because it's Christmas Eve. I should be at a party. Yeah. I walk past the smoking dog and my friend bangs on the window.
Coming in. You're coming in, Kev.
You want to come in for a pint? It's Christmas Eve. Yeah. I'm like, no. I'm not in the mood. So on the way back, I knocked on the neighbour's door, Stuart. Yeah. I said, "Oh, Stuart, happy Christmas, mate. You haven't got any drain rods, have you?" He went, "Oh, I do, as it happens." Yeah. So he gave me his 50-foot drain rods, and we plugged them all together. And between Gemma and I, we plunged and we plunged and we plunged. And it's very cathartic when it comes, when it actually happens. I don't know if you've ever done this. Yeah, the whole blockage just explodes.
Oh, Kev, this is...
And flashed away it goes, and it was awful. It was like the back end of hell. That was.
Oh dear.
But I was very pleased. Gemma and I were very pleased with ourselves. We didn't kill each other on Christmas Eve, as I thought this might have ended up in.
I would say that's a major challenge.
The FujiCast
to get through that on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you, Jesus, for looking after us.
Oh dear. Well, there we go. Did you go out to the party in the end?
Yeah, managed. I went there, smelling a bit, but I went there. Church.
Park that Mullins in the corner over there. He does whiff a little bit. What's the matter with him?
Put him by the donkey in the nativity.
Oh dear, horrible. Well, there's a Christmas story I wasn't expecting from you. Welcome to Happy New Year, Kev. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah,
Happy New Year. 2023.
2023, I know.
We're ancient.
I started looking through, at last, the websites are coming together, including the commercial one. But it was a very frightening. This wasn't cathartic at all. I tell you what, I'd rather be there with the drain rods than this. But I was looking back through the archive, finding pictures that I really remember making. I remember, even so much the conversation I was having with the person I was photographing at the time. And I was looking at the dates and it was like 2011, 2012, 2008. Honestly, Kev, where is the time going?
I know. It's insane. Absolutely insane.
Well, welcome to the FujiCast. Happy New Year, 2023. As always, your questions, answered via email at click@fujicast.co.uk, or indeed through the Facebook group as ever. We have a book this week, don't we? And it's a wedding book. But
It is a wedding book. It's a beautiful, massive, big art. Hang on.
A big what?
Okay.
A big art?
Big hard book.
Oh, big hard book, right.
I just dropped it. I didn't drop it from too much of a height, though, because it might knock my coffee cup over. But yeah, the wedding photographs of John Dolan.
John Dolan, is he a famous wedding photographer?
Yes-ish.
Is he like
he is. Yeah.
Like a Busink kind of level?
Yeah, the Perfect Imperfect, it's called.
Right.
And it was Emily Renier that pointed me at the book. I knew of him before, but it was her. I didn't know you had this book. And then a good friend of mine in New York, also Amy, she knows him, and she's been on workshops and stuff with him.
Wow!
So yeah, we'll chat about that when we get to it.
Okay. The Perfect Imperfect pretty much describes. Well, no, it was the Imperfect Perfect, wasn't it? The other way round for your Christmas Eve. Yeah. Imperfect. Did you get down the pub, by the way, as well?
On New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve?
Yeah. Or did you just just go to Dodgy Dave's?
No, we went to Disco Dave's first.
Right.
Then we went to Mass, and then went to the pub for a bit. Just a couple.
You didn't go to Mass drunk, I hope?
No.
Well, I know what Disco Dave is like.
Well, I wouldn't technically know. I probably wouldn't have been able to drive a car, but that was okay.
All right. Okay.
I was doing the collection, so I couldn't be too drunk.
You were doing the collection, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, you've been elevated, Kev. Hey?
Me and Albie.
Right.
Give us your money.
Does he give them that look? Well, maybe he gives them the Oliver look. Please, sir. Can I have some more?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. Questions. Should we start with Facebook? Should we start with the Book of Face? Okay,
so the latest one in from the Facebook group, which was 4 days ago. So we're kind of slacking a little bit, although we do have a good backlog. So more questions would be useful. Darren White.
There's a long year ahead, Kev. Get these questions in.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Darren White says he starts with a question mark at the beginning, which is how Spanish people start. But I don't think he's Spanish. Anyway, here's something to discuss. When are we going to stop using mirrorless to refer to digital cameras? We don't use the term mirrorless when I talk about cameras in mobile phones. Mirrorless is a redundant term now.
Not really, no, because it identifies the difference between two machines. Mirrorless, medium format, DSLR, pinhole. I'm just, these are terms of cameras, aren't they? Yeah.
So, I mean, medium format is mirrorless as well, or can be. But yeah, you're right. So I think DSLRs, SLRs have mirrors. Mirrorless cameras don't have mirrors. Yeah. And I think ultimately, give it a good few years, all cameras will be mirrorless. And, apart from obviously retro cameras at that point. Yeah. And then perhaps the term will fade away. But yeah, I think it is still important to differentiate because a lot of people who I speak to and I say, do you use a mirrorless camera? And I'm trying to gather whether they have a electronic viewfinder from that question. So and a lot of people still use DSLRs, which have a mirror, don't have electronic viewfinders, and they are different. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry, Darren, but I disagree. Mirrorless is not a redundant term yet.
Not just yet. Torsten Troutfen. Hello, Neil. Hi, Kev. Got to blur it out straight away. I think he means blurt it out. Sorry, I was thinking blur. What does it mean blur? I absolutely blurted out straight away. I'll add the T in. Maybe he's saving money. Not so many T's. I tell you what, Kev. We're talking about things that are going wrong just prior to Christmas. I'm not sure we talked about this on the show. I'm sure we didn't. I had a few keyboards that went wrong. I was happily working along. Then suddenly the U key wouldn't work. Have you ever tried writing without a U key? It's almost impossible. One of the major. Well, I thought maybe he was cutting out the T, saving time. Got to blurt it out straight away. I absolutely love your podcast. Such a joy to listen to you, getting insights and hearing anecdotes. I'm not sure today's anecdote will be one that you remember for a lot. Well, you might remember for a long time to come. Also, I signed up to support you via Patreon, as any sensible person should. His words, Kev. Torsten's words. Oh, by the way, on the on our Patreon pop-up today, It's the first, and you can tune into this straight after this show, if you remember. And if you're not, you can join up and then hear it. We start doing, what are we doing, Kev? Go on, you announce it.
Gentle critiques of stuff. Yeah, so we've got some images. We're going to do them in order that we receive them, and we have received quite a few, which is good.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with a few street pictures from somebody. So yeah, the pop-up used to be every other week, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, whatever.
Don't start.
On the weeks that we weren't on.
Yeah.
But now the pop-up is going to be on the same week that we are on.
Yeah. So you can go across to it afterwards and get more fix.
Yeah. So for those of you who do support us on Patreon, thank you so much, and you can get your fix of the Patreon pop up immediately after this.
The pop up critiques though don't have to just be about photographs. You can send your photographs in, but we're also doing it for websites within reason. By the way, so we'll look at the website, but it won't be a 1 hour critique. I think that comes into Kev's job description, really.
Can you do a full SEO overview of my website, please?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But we'll do a gentle bit of it. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. It'll be fun. And the for those of you that don't know what the pop-ups are, it is for patrons only, but they're shorter, bite-sized shows that are our thank you to the people that support us there.
Right, for my question, says Torsten, I joined the Fujifilm realms only recently with an X Pro 3. I absolutely adore the camera, but read so much about failing subscreens because of strained ribbon cables that I felt super unnerved, sold it, and ordered a mint condition X Pro 2, which is stuck in customs ever since. Insert Brexit rant here. That means, however, that instead of taking photographs, I'm spending my time reading rumours and comments about the X Pro line.
Oh, God.
Let me read the whole thing, then you can put him right. The X Pro production has been stopped, apparently. See, it's a Reddit one. I've got a link here. It looks like a lot of people are questioning if there will be any ILC rangefinder-style cameras from Fuji anymore. To me, that seems wild. This style has just got me into the Fujifilm universe, and it's so unique across the camera makers, I can't believe Fuji will abandon it. What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, there's a lot to pick out of that, isn't there? First of all, selling an X Pro 3 because you read about somebody else's problem with the back screen. Oh, my word. I have 2 X Pro 3s.
Right.
Never had an issue with the rear LCD whatsoever. I actually don't know anybody who has, myself,
Well, you did groan when I said failing subscreens because of strained
because
ribbon
I've read about
cables.
it. I've read some people...
Right.
You know... This world, this internet world, I've seen it on our own Facebook, FujiCast Facebook group. You know, somebody buys something, doesn't know how to use it perhaps, or breaks it, drops it, whatever, you know, and then says, these cameras are rubbish. I'm going to Sony, Panasonic, blah, 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 blah. And a little bit of me, and, you know, when I read these things, I just want to punch my 42-inch widescreen monitor
Kev.
really hard. Because I'm like, it's you. So, you know, if people are banging up and down these blinking LCDs and, you know, whacking them, and you've got, you know, the LCD on the X Pro 3 is, I don't particularly like it, I have to say. It's not the most, it's, you know, it's I wouldn't say fragile, but you can't just rank it down and rank it up and all that kind of stuff.
I beg your pardon, Kev.
Don't be rude.
Have you never ranked up your X Pro 3 screen?
I certainly have not, no.
So, you know, I don't know. Look, there may well be some merit in the screen fading, but I've never seen it. I've never had it. My 2 X Pro 3s, which I've used very hard, are still fine. So it does really irritate me when I see things like that, and they just assume that because and perhaps the people who wrote this or write this did not break their camera. Perhaps they did just have a malfunctioning camera. But then going on the internet and saying all of them are broke because of this is just clickbait and pointless.
The only thing that I'm
very angry.
I can tell. The only thing I'm thinking,
and I'm not even an ambassador anymore, so I don't even have that blood boiling through my veins.
The only thing I'm thinking here, Torsten, is that you gave back, or rather sold or whatever, an X Pro 3 with all its X Pro 3 wonderfulness. The upgrade from the X Pro 2, which was marked, wasn't it? And you've sold it for a mint condition X Pro 2. Now, the X Pro 2, of course, that didn't have the screen that So what you might have been better doing is just leaving the screen closed on the X Pro 3 and you'd have had the better camera.
Yeah, well, the X Pro 3 did have a rear LCD, but it wasn't an X Pro 2, but not a flippy down one.
No, it wasn't.
So, but yes, point taken.
That's
You're
what I mean.
Right.
It didn't move around. So just leave it where it is and everybody would be happy schmappy.
Stick some tape over it.
Yeah. Glue it.
I don't want to bash Torsten because he's not only has he got a problem with his U key on his button on his keyboard, he now doesn't have his X Pro 3 because of what some angry ranter on the internet said. But the point about X Pro 3's no longer in production, I have also read that. I have I've had Andreas hasn't said anything to me. Nobody at Fujifilm will say anything to me, and so I don't know for sure. I've only read what he's read on the rumors and on Reddit and stuff like that. And generally, if that information is out there, it's probably true.
So the information out there that rangefinder style cameras won't be produced by Fuji anymore?
No. So the bit about the X Pro 3 has been stopped production.
Right.
So
okay.
they're not making them anymore.
Phew,
I'm assuming that's correct. I don't know, but I'm assuming that is correct.
Right.
Now, I also read that somebody in America was suing Fujifilm for misrepresentation of the quality of a camera, the Fujifilm X Pro 3.
And litigation nation?
Yeah,
really?
It won't come to anything. Of course it won't.
I hope not, no.
But there was a whole thing then about, Fujifilm stopped making the X Pro 3 because this fella's going to sue them. And then everybody who's ever owned an X Pro 3 will be able to get millions out of Fujifilm, which of course is not going to happen, won't happen. And mind you, says that this world is upside down and bonkers at the minute, so it could happen.
Only a little bit.
So I would park that and say that that's absolutely no reason why Fujifilm have stopped production of the X Pro 3. If they have stopped production of the X Pro 3, my guess is they've stopped production of the X Pro 3 because just isn't selling. They've got XH2, XH2S, XT4, XT5, XS10, whatever. All of these cameras have come out since the X Pro 3, and they've all got better, bigger, faster sensors, backlit sensors, and better ISO, lower ISO levels. Everything about them is technologically better.
Yeah.
So really the only reason why somebody would buy an X Pro now at the moment is purely based on the ergonomics and the form factor. And I think that margin is much narrower because, the technology in the newer cameras is much bigger. Now, skipping back to September or October, whenever it was, when we were in Japan, and I suppose I need to be a little bit careful about what I can say, but
Go on, Kev, go on.
I think that so the X Pro 3 I think is damn near perfect,
right?
And if I was the maker of the next level X Pro 3.
Normally, by the way, I cut all the gaps out, but I'm leaving these in because I can see you're struggling with what you might let go that you shouldn't.
Put it this way: if it was Fuji Mullins rather than Fujifilm, and it was my turn to make the next level X Pro camera, I'd really, really struggle, right? Because what do you do to it? How can you make it better without mitigating the soul of it, the form factor, all of that kind of stuff? Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that there is a real dilemma in kind of making this new camera, not Fujifilm, in terms of, what do we do with it? How, what can we do with it? We've got all these new super high flying cameras, and because of the size and the form factor, it's not just a simple case of sticking the same sensor in. No. Just doesn't work because it's got the optical viewfinder. There's a lot more gubbins inside that. So I suspect that we'll see an X Pro 4. But I wouldn't hold my breath for it to happen in the near to moderate future. Would
you mind an X Pro 4 that's just a tinsy bit wider? I mean, if you think about the beautiful Leica Qs, they're just a bit bigger, but they're still the rangefinder gorgeousness about them, isn't there?
Yeah.
They're just a tint larger. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I agree, but you also have to think, I'd be fine with that. But you also have to, if you think about it from a business point of view, in the beginning, there was the X100, X Pro 1, XT1. Now Fujifilm have got their hands, they're juggling a lot of brands, a lot of cameras, and some of those cameras sell a lot more than others.
Yeah.
All right. So from a business point of view, they have to do the maths and think about which ones does it make sense to put the R&D into. And the X Pro is a very, very unique camera, with the hybrid viewfinder, the form factor, everything about it is you just don't get in other cameras. I do not know. I have no idea whatsoever about the sales figures. This is my own purely uneducated guess that this is what's probably going on in the minds over there right now. It's probably not selling as well as it did because we have all these new cameras. Do we spend time and effort, putting effort into a new X Pro camera, which will take time and effort away from lines, perhaps XT6, for example, for a period of time? Does that delay the release of those for this? And where's the money? Where's the yen in it? And that's what I think's happening.
Does this mean then the X100X will? Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? Will be just a little bit quicker off the mark then?
I don't think it'd be called that, by the way.
I know, but I just thought I'd throw it in.
I don't know.
What's it?
Yeah,
that know. One you picked up in Japan? What's it going to be called?
No, there was no sign of anything like that. I think I suspect the X100 is a very strong selling brand still, and for obvious reasons, again another pretty unique camera. Yeah. So I suspect that's under development. I would have thought.
In that trip you made to Japan prior to Christmas, that one that you went on that I didn't go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that one where I was invited?
Great. We had so much fun.
And then uninvited.
We went there.
Yeah, I know. It reminds me a little bit like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory script in that you've got all these people looking around the they get behind the door, the famous doors of the factory, and they're looking around trying to see, well, is that a bit that's going to make the new X100? Or is that does that look like an X Pro 4? Was it a bit like that you could see all the secrets?
There probably is parts that I certainly didn't see any of that, but there are, we did see parts of the factory where, they showed us kind of how they do the test the image stabilization and everything, and we weren't allowed to talk about how they do that or take pictures of it or anything like that because that's, they're proprietary systems. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure there are, areas, doors, people that are working on things that, were just very, very.
It's like Area 52, Kev.
In the old days, back in the early days, when there was a handful of photographers involved with them, they were much more. What can we do? How can we do this? Come and see us, or we'll come and see you, or we'll send you a questionnaire and all that kind of stuff. And it was great because that really worked. But as the scheme grew and as more people were using it, then it became too opaque, and so people they lost trust, I think, effectively in a lot of people, and so they do kind of keep their cards much closer to their chest now, which I absolutely 100% agree with.
Now, usually I would say, what have we got from the Facebook group next? But I want to follow that question up from Torsten with one from Danny Cole, if you don't mind, because it's similar-ish. And it does deal with the same sort of area, but I'll read it now because I think it feels appropriate. Hi, fellas, says Danny. Hope you had a great holiday. I've been thinking about a rangefinder-style Fuji to replace my XT3, like the X100V, which is unattainable for the foreseeable, or the X Pro 3, which I've been put off with because of the rear display, with the rumours of the...
Hang on.
Don't put anything through that 42
I've just punched the screen.
With the rumours of the X Pro 3 no longer being manufactured, and the X100Vs and the Bermuda Triangle. So it's kind of different now. What would your recommendation be for me? Should I pull the trigger and try the X Pro 3, or hang tight and hope the rumours of no X Pro 4 aren't true? So it does come at it from a slightly different angle. Love the pod, lads. Keep up the good work. Danny Cole.
Get an X Pro 3.
In Oman.
You'll be forever waiting for the next best thing.
Yes,
that's another thing, isn't it? Yeah. People say, when the XT5 came out, people were like, oh, well, I'm gonna wait for the XT6 because it'll probably have, the same functionality as the XH2 or whatever. I'm like, oh, you can keep waiting if you wish, but you will just forever be waiting for the next thing. Just buy something if you've got the money.
Just buy something. Is that your?
I just sold half my stuff.
Just buy something. Doesn't matter. Go out there today.
Get it. Stop reading the internet and buy what you want.
Buy it. Who cares about recession and world problems? And buy it. Buy it now. There we go. We should mention at this point our thanks to...
Pick time.
Yes. Pick, I love it when you know where I'm going. Pick-time.com, who support this show very kindly. Thank you very, very much. They are undoubtedly, it's a site that we both use to show our work, to show our wares, and to sell the photographs that we make at our weddings and social events and other businesses. I use mine for my commercial business as well. Not so much to sell prints, of course, in that respect, but more to have a really nice way of displaying the photographs that I'm presenting to the client. How did you do with... did you do some of the sales stuff that you can do through?
I didn't personally, but
not?
I know people who had to. But however, I do have a little story about just before Christmas. I had my biggest ever sale through PickTime, and it was a wedding that I'd done in October. Mum of the bride spent several £1,000s on albums and prints, and she just designed all the albums, ordered the prints, pressed the button, and all the money just came flooding into my bank account.
God, I'll drink to that. That's very good.
Yeah, and that's what works for me. That the ability for them to be able to do the heavy work. I checked all of the albums. Obviously, it goes into a kind of holding pattern where you go in, you check the albums, make sure that they haven't cropped off a head or made some terrible guff with the design. But she hadn't. Perfect. So I just went, yes, press that button that says send me the money.
Did you do a little dance, a Mullins dance?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, took my shirt off and waved it around my head.
Oh goodness, there's no need for that. Well, that's an incredible sell, Kev. That's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, I was very, very happy. And of course, so you can, if you've not tried out PickTime, it is aimed at more kind of professional photographers.
Yeah.
You will get 1 month free using the code FujiCast, all in uppercase. Well worth doing.
Right, back to your questions. Kev, Book of Face. We haven't had one for a while, so let's do one from Facebook.
Wallace Shackleton says, one for Kevin. When you get a super secret camera to play with before its release date, are you limited to just shooting JPEG, or is there a super secret RAW converter supplied as well? Usually the updates to Lightroom and the light come out after a new camera is released to the public. So briefly again, back in the old days, and we are going back a few years when we used to get kind of pre-productions and stuff like that. They right back in the early days, Fujifilm would supply a version of raw software. I can't remember what it's called now, which would work, but the language was always in Japanese. But yes, otherwise it was all JPEG. So pretty much all the samples I've ever supplied for cameras before launch are all shot in JPEG and delivered in JPEG. Because you're quite right, Lightroom and the likes do take a little while to update their RAW converters.
Yeah. George Fakinos. Haven't heard from George for a while, have we? He says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. So this is a few... Oh, mind you, he did send it on the day that you had your hand in a drain.
Oh, lovely.
So it's quite a recent question. I own only one camera, X100F. And a recent travel to a trip to Copenhagen, I tried shooting in square format. There's something about the city that forces you to shoot square. Maybe it's the architecture or the symmetry. I don't know, but it was fun and out of my comfort zone. That's the best way to learn, I think. And what I have learned is that 35 field of view cropped to square format is sometimes a little bit tight. Do you think if I buy the WCL 100 and still shoot in square format, I'd see a big difference? Is 28 so much that I should see a difference? Thanks for your time. From George Fakinos.
Yeah, I mean, you would see a difference. Whether it's enough, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I don't know. That's one I would perhaps...
For square, I'd like to try that out, actually, before. You might look at it and think, it's not incredible amount of difference here.
No, and the thing to remember is when you shoot with one of the crops, in-camera crops, it's only cropping... Even if you shoot RAW, it's only when you take the RAW file into Lightroom, it's pre-cropped, but you can just press the uncrop and it will show you the whole of the frame, the 3x2.
Have you ever shot in square?
Yeah, occasionally. Not something I've done for a while, but of course Instagram's square, isn't it? So, a lot of people do like to do that. I would probably, my advice is pop into a shop, stick the converter on, take a couple of test shots and see if it works for you before buying it.
Good luck with that. We should come to a book in a second. I've just had a pop-up. Do you get pop-up from Twitter? I'm sure I try to switch them all off, but Twitter just seems to keep sending them. Look at this one, Kev. Sussex Roads Police. We've just arrested a man in #Hastings on suspicion of drug driving, who it turns out only passed his driving test yesterday.
Really?
The world's mad. How did he get a driving test? I thought they were all on strike.
Why are you signed up to Sussex Police?
I don't know why I've got Sussex Police. I'm nowhere near Sussex. I'm getting a lot of stuff coming through that I've not signed up to, Kev.
I've kind of stopped using Twitter after.
Yeah, what do you feel about the whole thing with Musk?
I don't like it.
Do you not?
I don't. I think, yeah. I mean, one person can be too powerful, can't they?
Yeah.
And he's clearly approached. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've got nothing against people being ambitious and successful, but I think he waded into that with his very big, posh, expensive shoes and made a pig's ear of it.
Are you talking about Putin? Are you talking about Putin or Musk?
No, well, both of them, yeah. But Musk in this case. Yeah. Anyway, yes, yeah.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah.
Shall we do a book, Kev?
Let's do it.
We haven't done a book for a couple of weeks.
I'll just pick it up. Hang on.
Is it a big tome? This one.
I'm just moving it over here. Just gonna print.
Is it really that heavy?
Yeah. So the perfect imperfect, and the blurb says, this book is an unexpected deep dive into the tenderness and truth of weddings. For 342 Saturdays, John Dolan has quietly pursued emotional and revealing art inside the wedding day itself. He has aimed his camera at tiny moments of deep meaning, evocative, joyful, unscripted, perfectly imperfect scenes at the start of a marriage. The wedding is one of society's last and lasting ceremonies. Quite like that. Universal in its presence, comprehensive in its emotion. Dolan's candor, his respectful discretion, and his gentle but shrewd and powerful observation combine to make a book that transcends weddings and enlightens us on the human condition.
And do you feel enlightened?
Yeah. So essentially, John Dolan is a candid documentary style photographer. But I would say straight off the bat, there are several images in the book that are, in my mind, gently guided. So I wouldn't say purist. However, the book is wonderful. It's big. It's well printed. It smells lovely. And there are, it's enormous in its page count. Hold on, I'm going to just go to the end. It's like 260, 70 pages. A lot of it's shot on film, a lot of it is shot digital, but the beauty of it is, for those of us, I include myself in this, who are, that picture's not sharp enough to put on my website. That's not great. The light's not great. This just shows us that actually you can. I know this already, but emotion transcends technicalities in every case. I'm looking at this picture on page 239, bride and groom kiss, cake in the foreground, blown highlights all over the place. It's not even straight, but and people in the background are just kind of grainy and foggy. But it's great, and that's the kind of picture I might think, should I put that on my website or not? But yes, I should, and I need to get over that myself. And there is some element of text in there, and a few bits and pieces of kind of descriptions, and it's broken down into acts, act 1, 2, and 3, I think, which is before, during, and then the kind of dancing.
I
and
like that idea. I might nick that for the website.
Yeah, you can nick that if you wish. Don't blame me if you
don't tell John. Don't tell John.
No, but yeah, I mean, it's a really wonderful look, and the thing, of course, so he's American, and if I'm told correctly, he was the photographer for Biden's daughter's wedding, or one of.
What a nice
gig.
A
few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he is kind of out of the Busink mold. We were talking off air about the kind of similarity, and he is kind of Busink styly.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of on-camera flash, but also, only when it's needed, or when it's seemingly needed. A lot of images of, nice, beautiful, candid, soft, focused portraits of brides that are, it's just beautiful. A majority of it is black and white, but not all of it. There's a few shots of the in-between shots between group shots, when people are all lined up with their tuxedos, but then there's stuff going on around it and everything, and he's picking those ones to show. Really, really nice. It's a good book if you're a documentary wedding photographer or you aspire to be, and you're struggling to believe that people want this kind of photography.
Well, this is the book
especially if you're in America, because America, I have emails regularly. Yeah. Nobody in America wants documentary wedding photography. And I'm like, well, Joe Biden's daughter did, and so do very many other people. You've got to kind of find your niche and go for it. And if you look at John's website, it's very direct. This is what I do, and this is what I don't do. This is what you'll get, and this is what you won't get. And there's no kind of in between bits. But it's really nice. As I say, there are several kind of what I would call not candid moments, but that doesn't mean they're any less beautiful.
Well, it's the same with Joe Busing. I mean, he did that as well. Interesting that I was reading some stuff here. Doesn't look like John's done. But here it says for 342 Saturdays, John has quietly pursued emotional and etc. etc. So he's not somebody with 1,000, 2,000 weddings under his belt. He's done exceptionally well, hasn't he?
Yeah, but he charges a lot of money.
Well,
so you do less if you charge as much as him.
Well, true. But when I look at the pictures, I'm thinking these are fantastic pictures. But it's quite interesting, isn't it? How some people have set their stall out as I am this, and in a marketing X Factor way. I am John Dolan. I shoot weddings for the daughters of presidents, and then right next to him you've got I'm trying to think of another name. I'm Bob Dolan, and I don't shoot presidential weddings, but I've done 1,500, loads and loads of experience, and my pictures are just as good, but I only charge $200. It's a marketing thing, isn't it, Ken?
Absolutely, of course. It's a branding thing. Absolutely. I mean, there may well be other photographers who you might think, or one might think, or the listeners might think are way better. But those photographers haven't got a 350 odd page hardback book. I know. Being sold on Amazon for 45 quid. So I mean, it's.
But what gets you there? What makes you John Dolan and not Bob Dolan?
Well, you transcend a level, don't you? At some point.
How? Why? Where? When? Who?
Well, you get a lucky break. You get the right wedding planner. You get the right person, you move in the right circles, that kind of thing happens, and that's where it goes. It's just what happened to Askoff, wasn't it? Jeff Askoff, exactly the same thing happened. He got in early with high-end wedding planners through honest hard work and brilliant pictures, and that was his marketplace.
Yes.
But again, I was speaking to somebody about this the other day, and you'll never move away from the £800 wedding market if you don't trust yourself and you don't back yourself with your own style and your own pricing. But
Jeff used to always say this. Well, he did constant. It was a constant within I think I went to 3 of his wedding courses, the 2-day ones that he did over at Watford, and he would say, "Put your prices up." And I was waiting for the silver bullet, and I was thinking, is that it? It's a bit like the Hitchhiker's 42 moment. Is that all I have to do? But how do you get the bit in the middle, the gap in the middle, where all the where the work falls out from underneath you, whilst you've changed your strategy and your prices? That's the bit. Or maybe fortune favours the brave.
Fortune does favour the brave, and fortune, more importantly, favours people who work hard. You can't just stick your prices up and then sit on your ass watching Netflix and hope things come in.
No,
just not going to work. I'm very reticent to say to people, you need to put your prices up, because that's not for me to say. But what I prefer to talk about is how Joe Busing used to say it, and that was, don't base your prices based on what you can afford. Base it on what you think your potential clients can afford.
I remember that.
I couldn't afford to pay me to shoot my own wedding, put it that way.
That's what he said, wasn't it? It was years before I could afford to pay myself what I charge for weddings.
Myself, yeah. And I think that's far more important, and there are, and there always will be, there always has been, there always will be people who think, well, nobody can afford £1,000 or nobody can afford £500 or whatever. And there are people out there that could do it. If your work is good enough and strong enough and you put the hard work in outside of just turning up, then, the opportunities will be there for sure. That doesn't mean that, you have to just immediately go and put your prices up, but it means that, you have to think very kind of strategically about what you need and what you want. Some people are very happy shooting £500 weddings and enjoy it, and that's great, and especially if they can make a living out of it.
I do know one particular photographer who I'm not going to mention his name, but he said, I don't feel I want to charge more money because I'd give myself a lot of stress. I don't need the stress.
Well, that's fine. And if it gives him an income and he pays his tax and he buys his insurance and he's happy,
he does. Yeah,
absolutely, go for it.
Yeah,
100%.
There's a picture here, and I don't know whether it's in the book. It's just one I found online. It's a couple kissing at I think it looks like it's during the meal. Everything is out of focus.
Remember, a lot of this is film as well,
but it doesn't. But it doesn't matter because the emotion of the two bodies coming together and that kiss is like it's energy, which is beautiful.
You wouldn't buy this book, by the way, if you were looking for ideas. You can't buy, documentary wedding photography books and expect it to be and take it to a wedding and think, right, I'm going to try and get that shot.
It's not a cue card. It's not a cue card.
It's not a cue card. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. It just doesn't work like that. You get this book or you look at his work and then you realize that style is not only subjective but very personal. Yeah. And as long as you are doing it the way that you want, you will find clients that want that style also.
Shall I write to John Dolan, see if he'll come on the show?
I already have.
Have you? Have you done it? What did he say, Kev? What did he say?
I haven't heard yet.
Oh. Do you know what I like most about John Dolan? I like his photographs, obviously, and his story, but I like the fact that he has a grey beard and he looks our age. In fact, he looks a little bit older than us, Kev. Don't tell him that.
Wait, don't say us. I'm talking about age.
Well, me, maybe. Me. I like that. There's room for us crusties yet, Kev.
Yeah. I had an H&M gift voucher for Christmas from a relative.
Yeah.
Nice £100. Great. Yeah. Go to H&M.
Yeah.
And I realised that I'm no longer H&M. It's all very, baggy trousers and short socks and there was nothing that I just bought 100 pairs of socks.
Kev, if you ever turn up at a wedding with trousers, no socks, brown shoes, that's it. I'm disowning you. I think at some stage we can't sport that look.
No. That stage went a long time ago.
I'm going to go like John Dolan now. It's going to be a polo neck. I can't do the big frizzy hair that he has. That looks amazing. He looks like an explorer. But I can do the beard.
Good-looking chap. Yeah.
Anyway, look, the book is available, isn't it? It's there's various prices. It seems to be about the 45 mark, pound-wise, that is.
Yeah, it's published by, you can get it off Smelly Amazon or you can buy it independently. I am absolutely sure. I'm just trying to see where the publisher is. Hang on.
Smelly Amazon.
It's such a really beautiful book.
It is.
It's so well designed and...
well, it has to be for you to buy a wedding book and to sport that on your shelves. I don't think you've bought a wedding book for a long, long time. So
I don't think I've ever bought a...
Have you not? I've got the Joe Busink ones. I liked his Jessica Simpson book.
I think I might have had that originally. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm looking at my shelf now.
Don't be thinking that I got that off your shelf because I did not.
Published by Damiani. Damiani. Damiani.
Yeah.
2021.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Brilliant.
So there we go.
Okay, right, questions. Back to questions. Is it Facebook time or is it my turn?
No, it's your turn.
It's my turn. Okay, right. We did the Fakinos one, didn't we? Excuse my language.
Yep.
Let's go for Matteo Chavot. Hi, guys. Having shot most of my photographic life with an X100, be it the OG or the S, I like that. Do your kids use OG for language?
I don't understand the question.
OG, the original.
Original what?
Like the original X100. I haven't answered the question yet. The question was, do your stay with me, Mullins? Do your kids use the OG? Do they not say, Dad, that's the OG, as in that's the original, that's the cool one, that's new language, Kev?
Oh, No, I don't think so.
The
They might
OG.
do, but I might just tune out. I don't know.
No, well, if ever we go somewhere, you can get a fancy burger on the menu. Jack will always say, the OG. No? Okay.
No.
Anyway, having shot most of my photographic life with an X100, be it the OG, original, or the S, I've come to see life in 23mm. Shooting now with an XE3, I recently traded my 23 35 for a 27 Mark II, thinking I'd get the best of both worlds, with the added bonus of the pancakeness of the lens. 6 months later, it just doesn't do it for me, and I'm trading it once more for a 23. Which brings me to my question. Given that Fujifilm are able to make a tiny 23mm lens for the X100, how come they don't offer one in the XF lineup? Is it a tech issue, a market issue, or a get a damn X100 issue?
Okay, so the answer is pretty straightforward. Half of the lens for the X100 is inside the camera body. That's it. Yeah, that's why it appears smaller.
Yeah.
Half of the gubbins, the glass and everything is inside the camera itself.
So right, back to Facebook, and now you know the OG as well.
Yeah, the OG. Yeah. Right, I'm going to dick back a little bit. Okay, this you might be able to. Yes, this is one that we can both kind of get involved in. Hi Neil. Hi Kev. John Rose. I recently upgraded my monitor to a BenQ for multiple reasons. But the most important was making sure the colors I was working with looked correct. The ability to look at different color gamuts is amazing, but has added a new confusion and frustration. Do you guys edit your photos looking at it on the monitor in RGB or sRGB? There sometimes can be a huge change in the colors. I know sRGB is for the web and phone, but I want to make sure my clients are getting the true colors when they print. Perhaps I should just become a black and white photographer and yes, I agree. That's the answer. Just shoot everything black and white and give color the boot. Thanks always for a wonderful show. Waiting patiently for a future announcement that you guys will travel across the pond to do a show over here in America.
I would love to. On my little switcher here, I'm not sure which what I'm on, sRGB or RGB. I'm going to have to move my little paddly thing around. What are you on, Kev? What do you use?
sRGB. I don't use that little puck.
Do you not? I
took that away because you end up pressing it by mistake and then...
Oh, no, but you put it in the puck stand.
Yeah, but I ended up pressing it by mistake several times.
The puck stand is sort of behind the screen, Kev.
I know, but that's where I put all my stuff.
Well, put it in a cupboard.
No, I just unplugged it. It's much easier. Yeah, so... Well... John said about sRGB is for web and phone, but wanted to make sure that clients are getting true colors when they print. So sRGB is for digital delivery, correct? However, almost all like mainstream print companies will be using sRGB as well. It's ARGB, technically, Adobe RGB. That throws a little bit of confusion because the cameras also have that option. Yeah. And yes, to the naked eye, you might think, oh, that looks better because it's got a wider color gamut. But it needs to then be converted down to sRGB for almost everything. The only time I would ever think about ARGB is if a particular print company said, we need images in ARGB format. So stick it in sRGB and have a beer. Just relax
and
think about it.
Your life.
Chuck your puck in the bin.
Put your what? Sorry.
Chuck your puck in the bin.
Oh, chuck your puck in the bin.
Yeah, chuck your puck in the bin. For those of you who don't know what the puck is, the BenQs have these pucks where you can just press a button 1 and 4 and switch between ARGB, sRGB. I think they've got Rec 37.
That's right.
And
and then
a few other bits and pieces.
Push button on the top, and you can program it into different. So you can also have black and white if you wanted to.
Yeah, black and white. Although that's dangerous. Although actually, it's pretty handy. I did used to do that just to get an idea of color depth. Shadow and highlight depth, density. But then that was before I started shooting everything in black and white. So I don't need that anymore. But that was quite handy.
Well, by the way, when you talk, whilst you're talking about black and white, one thing I did mean to mention with the John Dolan thing we were talking about a moment ago is his black and whites aren't overly processed. They're very filmic in that there's degrees of grey rather than, oh my word, that's just gone really contrasty.
Yeah, and we don't know which ones are shot digitally and which ones are shot on film, of course.
True.
So yeah, there's that element of it. But yeah, I I would not be at all surprised if, if he was a JPEG shooter. I wouldn't be at all surprised.
Do you think so?
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be disappointed either.
Well, you can ask him that question when he emails back and says, "Kev, I would be delighted to be on the show." Yeah. I love the way that you say, yeah, we shall consider. Very confident about that. Well, that's it, Kev. Here we are. We're in New Year. We're there. If you'd like to go across right now to our Patreon pop-up, we're going to do the very first of our critiques. Who are we critiquing, Kev?
Now you throw me. That wasn't a question I was expecting. We are going to critique Wade Brown.
Wade Brown. There's 3 pictures. So it's Wade Brown's critique is how we start. We'll put those pictures...
Gentle critique.
Sorry? Gentle critique. Those pictures will also go on the post so that you can see them. That makes sense, doesn't it?
On the Patreon post.
On the Patreon post as we're critiquing them. So that goes up. Oh, that will be there today. So after this, if you're not a member, join up, and then of course you can join in with those critique sessions as well. Send your own material in. In the meantime, questions to the show, send them to click@fujicast.co.uk, or of course you can send them in via Facebook. Kev, how do we do that magically via Facebook?
Go to Facebook, go to the FujiCast group. At the top, there is a post that says questions for the podcast post, and then you just add your question there. And I will put a little smiley or emoji of some kind of my face, my head, to tell you that we've answered the question and you can expect it in an upcoming show.
Dunded. And our thanks to pick-time.com for your support. And how do you get the Pick Time goodies, Kev, on that one?
Go to pick-time.com, sign up, and you will get 1 month free with the code FujiCast, all in uppercase.
What question were you expecting, by the way, when you said I wasn't expecting that question? What question were you expecting?
I wasn't expecting any question.
Okay.
I was just expecting it to be the end. And say bye-bye.
Well, it is the end. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
The FujiCast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.